Thank you so much. Good afternoon. God bless Texas. It is terrific to be with so many committed lovers of liberty. Let me begin by apologizing that I don't have a teleprompter with me. It seems all of them are being used right now in Washington, D.C. Let me also give a public service announcement, which is I want to ask if anyone here hears me say anything fishy, please report me to the White House. I intend to self-report this afternoon. I'll tell you, I spent this morning doing Google research, and I discovered that the Collin County Tea Party is in fact the only organization in the United States of America that has neither asked for nor received a federal government bailout. That means all of us are going to be paying for it. You know, Michael Williams pointed out that the administration in Washington thinks an awful lot of people here are an unruly mob. Well, let me tell you something. If standing up, fighting for our nation, standing up, fighting for liberty makes you a mob, then count me a happy member of the Cosa Nostra. The past year has been a dispiriting time for Texans, for conservatives, for lovers of liberty. And yet I'll tell you, I am incredibly, incredibly optimistic. And the reason is very simple. I've spent the last 8 months traveling all over the state of Texas, and we are in the midst of an awakening. Texans and Americans all across this country are waking up and realizing that we are right now facing the greatest threat to our liberty any of us have ever seen from Washington, D.C. The reality is Barack Obama was elected president because Republicans failed to lead, failed to stand up for the principles that we're supposed to believe in. And yet I am absolutely convinced the greatest legacy of President Barack Obama will be new leadership in the Republican Party. I am optimistic because the men and women that are here standing up for liberty and saying, not on my watch. What I'd like to do is three things. I'd like to share some thoughts about where we are nationally. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the record we've built here in the state of Texas, standing up for Texans and for conservative principles. And finally, I'd like to share a little bit of my personal story and my background. Nationally, we are in an extraordinary moment. For centuries, the basic divide has been between liberty and tyranny, has been between government control and socialism and collectivism on the one side, and individual liberty and freedom and opportunity on the other side. And we have galloped towards government control of the economy more in these past 8 months than ever before in the history of our nation. I don't know how many of y'all saw a couple of months ago, Hugo Chavez was talking to Fidel Castro. And Chavez turned to Castro and said, "Oye, Fidel, we'd better be careful, or we're going to end up to the right of Comrade Obama." Now, the terrifying thing about that is that I'm not making that story up. That's a real exchange. If you go on the internet and type in Hugo Chavez, Comrade Obama, the first story that will come up will be the Reuters headline describing that exchange. And Chavez actually elaborated. He said, I'm not just giving rhetoric. He said, look, Obama nationalized the auto industry. We've never done that. Obama's talking about taking over all of the banks. We've never done that. We are faced with an extraordinary moment. In my opinion, this is the epic battle of our generation. And the question, quite simply, is, does this nation remain a free market economy? You know, I'm blessed to have a baby girl at home who's 16 months old. And when you're a new father, you think about the future for your kids. 43 presidents and 220 years of our nation managed to build up a $5.6 trillion national debt. Barack Obama has proposed tripling that debt in 10 years. You know, if a kindergarten child is walking to school and someone stops that child and robs that child, you call that person a bully and a criminal. If someone proposes doing that to every child in America, you call that person the Speaker of the House. Why are all of us out here? It's Labor Day. A lot of us would normally be in our backyards with a grill going, with a hot dog, and our families and our kids. And yet we're out here because we realize there's something worth fighting for. We're out here because we realize if we don't stand up and defend our nation today, our kids and grandkids might not have it tomorrow. And the reason I am so incredibly optimistic is the men and women and children showing up here today, standing up, saying, no, not on my watch. You know, I see these wonderful signs around here saying, say no to socialism, say no to communism. I don't know how many people have heard of the Washington, D.C. Green Job Czar, who apparently has joined the rising ranks of unemployed. Now, you know, rhetoric in politics sometimes gets a little bit hot. But you don't have to make it up with this guy. This White House official was a self-declared communist. You asked him and he would say, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. And mind you, I'm a special advisor to the President of the United States. You can't make these things up. And yet, President Obama has given us an incredible opportunity, because the awakening we're seeing as citizens across this state, across this nation, realize liberty is too precious to lose. Thomas Jefferson told us, if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be.